Rev up your engines!
Steven 1203, how many years should I go before I change my car battery? It's not just years, it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. How far you drive, where you live. If you live like in Alaska, it's not going to last as long. The cold weather will knock it out. And if you live in a real hot climate where you run the AC full blast all the time in the summer, that'll help wear it out faster. When I was a young mechanic, batteries were better made, and sometimes you could get 5 to 8 years out of a battery. These days, most batteries average, I did some study the other day, they said the average battery lasts maybe 3.2 years. I've had it in my own cars, I've had batteries last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 5 years, but never much more than 5 years anymore, because they really are making the things cheaper than they were making them before. Even the quality batteries, like the Optima batteries that were those spiral batteries. Theoretically, it's a better design because they're spiral like a snail shell. That's the most efficient use of space. But when they first came out, those Optima batteries were great. In the last 3-4 years, any of my customers that bought those Optima batteries, every single one of them went bad with a year and a half. From what I read, somebody else bought the company. They started making them cheaper, so I wouldn't waste $200-300 on one of those things if it's not going to last that long. Your best bet is to buy a quality battery at a local place that sells a lot of battery. I personally use an AutoZone because there's one 3 blocks north of me, and they give a really good guarantee. Usually it's 2-year free replacement and prorated after that. That's what I do. And if you want to worry about how long it's going to last, pay a mechanic like me to check it once a year or something, where our computers give you the percentage life of the battery, and when it gets below a certain percentage, it says replace battery soon. Then go ahead and change it. K9 Sammy says, Scotty, are remanufactured transmissions worth it? I got an 09 Saturn that needs tranny work. It's out of warranty. Should I junk it? No other problems but a bad transmission. It's a Saturn View. You know, they're really not worth that much, and it's a 10-year-old car. If you can get a remanufactured one that's giving you, say, a 3-year warranty or something, you want to spend that money, go right ahead. But if all they're going to give you is 6 months or a year and you're going to spend that kind of money, I'd junk the car. I really would. And unfortunately, with that model, I wouldn't advise going to a junkyard and trying to use transmission, because the transmissions in those things are garbage, and odds are if the car's in a junkyard and you use a junkyard transmission, it either won't work or it'll break soon after. They were just terrible transmissions. It's one of the reasons they don't make Saturns anymore. B. Childy, and he says, Scotty, love your vids. I got an 02 Mazda Tribute. I had no problems with the transmission, but the engine blew. Should I replace it or look for another one? Okay, well, you got to decide how much money you want to put into it and what you're going to get. Because if you're using a used engine, that's pot luck. Salvage yards, you're lucky if you get a 30 or a 90-day guarantee, and you really want to spend $1,800 to $3,900 parts and labor to put a used engine in. You know, I really wouldn't go that route, and since you have 206,000 miles, I'd say, you were talking about a Highlander and the rest of your question, I'd say get a Highlander or get a RAV4 and forget it. Because you're lucky you got 206,000 miles out of one of those Mazda Tributes. Most of my customers that have those, the transmissions go out a little bit over 100,000 miles, not over 200,000 miles. Waldo 23, and Waldo says, hey Scotty, I have the following problem on my Nissan Sentra 2000. I changed the crankshaft sensor a lot of times, maybe every other year. What do you think the problem is? One, only buy OEM crank sensors. It's very particular when you're using those electronic parts that measure magnetic waves. You can't use cheap ones made in China. But if you're using the OEM ones and it keeps going out, keeps tripping the code, a lot of times that means that your timing chain has stretched. And as they stretch, the data that the sensor gives to the computer becomes imperfect, and it'll often trip the code for the sensor instead. The only other thing that really can do it is either the wiring is going bad to the sensor, between the wiring and the computer, so unplug both ends and ohm them, get a meter and do the resistance readings to see if that's okay, and hope that it's not a wire starting to go out on it. Odds are your timing chain's probably stretching. I see that all the time in those things. And Over Fist says, Scotty, I changed my oil yesterday. I noticed I had a different oil cap. My regular mechanic changed the oil last time. The oil cap was solid on the bottom. The oil cap on it now is hollow inside. Will it make a difference in my oil pressure? Nah, it doesn't mean any difference. All it is to seal the system. And, of course, a lot of the newer ones, the replacement ones, are hollow inside because it's cheaper. They use less material when they build them. But that isn't going to affect anything because it's just air inside there anyway. You know, that isn't going to make any difference. Now, on the opposite side, let's say somebody changed the oil pan on the bottom of the engine and they put one in that had more space in it. Well, then the reading on your oil dipstick would be wrong because the oil would sit lower. But the cap itself, that doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about that. That doesn't mean anything at all.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.